One thing that we have to remember about the British colonies is that they thought they were British, and they were British. They just happened to be in America. But they never saw themselves as Americans until after the American Revolution. So the British colonists, in their political thinking, saw themselves as having all the rights of Englishmen. Now, the rights of Englishmen come from two main documents. The first is the Magna Carta, which literally means the big document. And in the second, it's based on the English Bill of Rights. Now, between the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights, the colonists felt that they had two major rights as Englishmen. The first was that they could only be taxed by their representatives, and the second was that they should have a trial by jury of peers. Now, this is going to come into play later in the American Revolution, but it also sets up the politics of the colonial era. Now, again, we're going to treat New England and the Mid-Atlantic colonies relatively similarly in this because they're roughly egalitarian, and they have more democratic institutions. The first example of an early self-government in the colonies is actually the Mayflower Compact. See, when the Mayflower came over with the Puritans on board, they also had about half of the passengers were not Puritan. And when they landed in Massachusetts, they realized they were going to need to work together to make the colony survive, which means they had to come to an agreement, an arrangement. And they signed what's called the Mayflower Compact. Now, this is often seen as an early self-government. In the New England region, because they had had relative egalitarianism, they also formed a democratic system that's roughly equal. All men that were church members were allowed to vote what's called a New England town meeting. Later, the town meeting evolves, and people send a representative from the town meeting to a general court in Massachusetts, and we have a very similar situation across New England. So we have a lot of direct democracy. Now, in the South, it's different, right? Because the South has all these plantations, and the slave owners, the planter elites, are the ones that want to be in charge and are going to be in charge. They get what's called the Virginia House of Burgess and similar institutions, where it is a government of, by, and for the planter elites, and everybody else just kind of has to follow along. All of this is important because during this colonial period, the British practiced what's known as salutary neglect. This means that they're going to roughly leave the colonies alone as long as the colonies continue to follow the rules. This means that in the colonies, they had all these colonial assemblies, these small legislatures that were gaining a lot of power. And even though by the time of the American Revolution, all the colonies had a royal charter, which means they were run by the king, all of the colonies felt that they had rights and that they could only be taxed by their own representatives, meaning the colonial assemblies. And all of this withers away the power of the king because the colonial assemblies have the power of the purse, which means they control the money. And they're actually the ones paying for all the stuff in the colony. They're actually in charge of the governor's salary. So the king's authority is sort of diminished because of the strength of the